Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Universal Transcendent. My talent is multiplied by 1,000 times. Chapter 51. In a daze, Elena was awakened by the rhythmic collision. For a moment, Elena felt that the sky was falling. But the next moment, she realized that she hadn't suffered the insult she imagined. He was tied tightly, packed in a special sack, and carried on his shoulders. And the person who carried on was standing and jumping with all his might. I was actually defeated by this guy who doesn't even have the ability to fly. For a while, annoyance, regret, anger and many other emotions were intertwined in my heart. The 7th Order lightsaber is gone. The 9th Order Angel System Steam Source armor is gone. Transcendent bracelet, no more. His broken steam space is slowly being repaired. But this repair also repairs a loneliness. Because. And the 5-star, steam spirit body, in the steam space completely disappeared. That bastard, he even picked up my steam spirit body fragments. Elena's body trembled more and more. I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill everyone on your plane. I will turn your entire plane into ruins. I want you to know the fate of offending me. Elena struggled and roared. It's a pity that her mouth was tightly blocked by the rags that Zhou Yu found from nowhere, and was even wrapped with tape several times, and even his eyes were covered. Are you awake? The voice that he could never forget when he turned into ashes sounded. Now she can't wait to tear that damned guy to pieces. How about making a deal? You open the Transcendent bracelet, and I'll let you go. You see, this is a fair deal. Money is nothing but possessions, life is own. Being defeated by a peerless genius like me, it's very reasonable to take that little bit of hard work. Why are not you talking? Are you asking for money rather than life? Disagree. I always thought that the life of your high-dimensional Protoss is more valuable than money. Sure enough, after all, am I thinking too much? Woo, what? Your mouth is gagged. Oh, that's all right. It was only when I heard that Zhou Yu wanted to trade the password of the Transcendent bracelet for her life. There was still a glimmer of hope in her heart. After all, money is no problem for her at all. As long as Zhou Yu is willing to let her go, let alone the materials in the bracelet. Even if it is 10 times, she is willing to pay. But the words of the Steam Knight in the back made her chest tight with anger, and her eyes turned black. That damned Steam Knight, even now, is still playing tricks on her. I swear, in the future, I will definitely kill all living things in your Hanhygia plane. Elena gritted her teeth, furious. I just said a few words casually, and your reaction is so violent. After all, I still haven't suffered the beatings of reality. Soon, I will let you experience the cruelty of reality. Well, don't thank me, I'm just that helpful. Elena, who was in poor condition and had tightness in her chest, was forced to faint again by Zhou Yu's preaching. Feeling Elena who fainted again. Zhou Yu shook his head. After all, I'm still young, and my mental quality is a little bit worse. This Zhaoni obviously has little experience and is a little immature. Maybe she can come up with some means. Let her open the Transcendent bracelet on her own initiative. The use of jumping skills is relatively easy for Zhou Yu. As the level increases, the skills will become smoother and smoother. Carrying the high-dimensional alien race, jumping all the way up. Just keep the tempo in check. Zhou Yu could feel that he seemed to be flying upwards. Rising. Zhou Yu was also reviewing his battle this time. First of all, my own level is a bit short. I'm level 30, she's level 40, the gap is a bit big, but it's within tolerance. Secondly, her gear is really good. The disparity is depressingly large. Fortunately, my frankness is high enough. This is the only way I can resist, otherwise, I will be caught by her today and become her knight of faith. And then the most important point. I'm a little slack. Zhou Yu deeply reflected on this point. In the underground passage these days, Zhou Yu was lucky enough to feel that his defensive frankness was high enough and his life frankness was strong enough. And own attack power is no longer weak. The cultivation of own transcendent skills is not so serious. And the result of all this is facing such a well-equipped enemy. The own output is completely scraping. If the jumping skill level is a little bit higher, for example, if it reaches level 10. Tossing and turning, it's like teleporting. If the light feather swordsmanship can be cultivated to level 100. Well, level 100 is a bit exaggerated. If it can be cultivated to level 10, it can definitely cut through the defense of his 9th level angel-type steam source armor. Strike his body. Fortunately, relying on the Sword of the Holy Judgment to cover, use the steam spirit body to subdue it. Otherwise, there is really no good way to deal with this high-dimensional Protoss. This time I'm back. The level has been steadily improved, and at the same time, the Transcendent skills must be practiced hard. In addition, I must find ways to continue to improve my Transcendent talent. After all, I only have a C-level grip of indestructibility and an E-level precision. If there are powerful A-level, A-level, or even S-level talents as the basis, then this battle, I won't fight so hard. During this period of time, I continued to understand thousand-fold talent amplification system. Zhou Yu also gradually realized it. This thousand-fold talent amplification system, in addition to adding 3 zeros directly after the pure Transcendent talent display page, on many levels that Zhou Yu can't touch, own talent has also been strengthened in the same proportion. For example, it is logically difficult for the talent grasp of the Undying to strengthen the steam spirit body. But with the special blessing of the system, there is no problem. Another example, accurate talent is generally used in the attack form of own. But in some small details in life, Zhou Yu found out. Precision talent is no longer limited to combat. Instead, it has completely penetrated into every corner of his body, and even imprinted on every cell of his own. Open black lens bracket thousand-fold talent increase close black lens bracket. It's not easy. In other words, the water in this system is very deep, and Zhou Yu is still in shallow water. Wait until Zhou Yu's in-depth exploration and development of this thousand-fold talent amplification deep layer. The effect of that is even more astonishing. After some reflection, it's really time for Zhou Yu to do a good job of strengthening his own Transcendent talent. As a hacker player, you have to look like a hacker. Jumping all the way, not long. Zhou Yu finally saw the light of day again. Although the sky was still burning with black flames, hanging down like lead clouds. But Zhou Yu still had a feeling of peace of mind. Turn around and look at the huge tunnel below. Zhou Yu thought to himself. This channel has invisible barriers, and high-level transcendence should not be able to enter or pass through. Bringing this high-dimensional Protoss finally escaped. Immediately, the search for the airship of the Corn City State began. At this time, there is still a lot of time before this trial. Airships should be all around. When you find the Corn City State airship, it was already more than 2 hours later. Are you sure it's very important? Zhou Yuxiao, the mentor of the Corn City State, repeatedly confirmed to Zhou Yu. At the same time, its eyes kept flashing on the special black sack that Zhou Yu was carrying. He doesn't have a visual talent, so he can't see through the black burlap bag. But it looks like a person. Yes, it's a very, very important matter. It belongs to the kind that if I don't rush back in time, the Corn City State will explode on the spot. He had heard before that Zhou Yu's brain circuits were very different from ordinary people. This contact is really the case. Zhou Yuxiao pondered for a moment. I'll discuss it with them. If other members of our Corn City State come out, they will rest in their airship first, and I will send you back first. Then I would like to thank teacher Zhou Yuxiao. Enter the airship and put the high-dimensional alien on the seat. Only then did Zhou Yu relax his body a little. Then start practicing directly. Now that he has reflected on it carefully, Zhou Yu will start to practice hard from today. Corn City State, explode in place, you think I'm joking. This is really not a joke. Zhou Yu is well aware of the importance of the high-ranking gods. Especially this female high-dimensional Protoss, maybe she is still a high-dimensional Protoss with status. Then things are not so simple. Sunset. The airship directly broke through the flight ban in the Corn City State. It directly broke into the sky above the Corn City State. This directly triggers the alarm. 7 or 8 airships came from all directions. Airship number 18, please stop the intrusion immediately, you have violated the no-fly policy of the Corn City State. Simultaneously, the alarm sounded loudly. Many residents of the Corn City State raised their heads. Hearing the piercing siren, many people hurriedly hid in nearby buildings. Zhou Yu directly opened the hatch, yelling outside, "Get out of the way!" The pilot and guards in the airship saw that it was Zhou. They all looked stunned. During this time, Alec returned to personally guide the affairs of the genius, Zhou Yu, of the Koan city-state. It's something they are familiar with. Did this kid take the wrong medicine? It's such a big commotion just after I came back. But those airship guards would not let a genius like Zhou Yu drive an airship directly into the inner city of Kern city-state. Just stuck here, trying to prevent Zhou Yu's airship from passing. Why did you come back so quickly, kid? Suddenly, a voice sounded. Then Zhou Yu saw Alec in light armor appearing in the air in front of the hatch. As soon as he finished speaking, Alec's expression suddenly changed. Then Zhou Yu didn't even care about it, and went directly into the airship. Then his eyes fixed on the object in the black sack that had awakened and was lying on the seat of the airship. After watching for a full dozen seconds, only then did Alec suddenly turn his head to look at Zhou Yu. His eyes were as sharp as a sharp light. Now you have made a huge mess. I thought you were going to say, I've done bloody feats this time. He didn't go to argue with Zhou Yu. Alec immediately flew out of the airship. Everyone retreat immediately. What level of existence is Alec? That was a back-to-back death battle with the Lord Korn on the battlefield. He has even saved the existence of the city Lord Korn many times. No one dared to resist his command. The besieged airship quickly dispersed. Zhou Yuxiao was also kicked out by Alec. Then Alec drove the airship towards the location of the city lord's mansion of the Korn city-state, and stepped on the accelerator to the bottom. City Lord's Mansion. Transcendent Dungeons. This is the place where transcendents are specially imprisoned. Once in, let alone intermediate transcendents, advanced transcendents. Even the next transcendent masters have to stay here honestly. At this time, the deepest part of the transcendent dungeon, the dungeon with the highest level of secrecy. Kano Korn, Lord of the city-state of Korn. The pride of Korn City, Alec. And the most amazing talent, Zhou Yu, of talent in the history of Kern city-state. The three of them just stood here quietly. A cross. Made of high-strength alloys and special materials that contain the Transcendent's power, Elena was locked there tightly. Look at this high-ranking high-dimensional Protoss. Kano Koen looked cloudy and uncertain. Even Alec was unusually serious. I wish you didn't catch this high-dimensional Protoss. Rubbing between his brows, Kano Koen's voice was very dull. If it is on the battlefield, kill such an existence head-on. In other words, on the Transcendent battlefield, the army of the Sun God Transcendent Empire broke through the opponent's stronghold and captured such an existence. None of this is a big deal. But now, they're a tiny city-state of Korn. Such a high-level high-dimensional Protoss with an obviously extraordinary identity was caught. This is for the Transcendent Empire, the Sun God. Might be of great help. But for now, the disadvantages outweigh the advantages. This may draw out to the devastating blows that those enemies dealt to the Korn city-state. Secretly dispatch a group of Transcendent Masters to sneak into the Korn city-state, and then destroy the entire city-state. Those high-dimensional Protoss can still do it, although in terms of time, they may need some time to investigate. B. The location of Black Flame Gorge is fixed. At that time, among the surrounding city-states, one counts as the other, and none of them can escape. It's no wonder that Alec would say that Zhou Yu made a huge mess. As for putting this high-dimensional alien race back. What a joke. This guy has already been defeated by Zhou Yu. Dare to put it back. They can't make up for the Sun God Transcendent Empire alone. What's more, the Galway Protoss before and after such a miserable experience. You expect her to show kindness? Spare Korn city-state. If that was the case, those high-dimensional Protoss would not invade their transcendent plane. Put the front foot down, and the back foot is devastating. Elena looked indifferently at the three of them. Two transcendent masters. A peerless genius. Even if I die, my soul will tell my people what I saw. At that time, all of you will die. Elena gritted her teeth, threatening. Hey, Santo Korn sighed. He still had a little luck before. Now it seems. That's probably impossible. What are you sighing for? Alec glanced at Kano Koen. Could it be that you still have unrealistic fantasies now? I just want to avoid the crisis that our city-state of Koen will encounter as much as possible. Kano Koen said lightly. But clearly, it's impossible not to have a crisis. And what we have to do is to throw away the illusion and prepare for the cruelest battle. Kano Koen nodded. Also, Alec paused. Don't just look at the disadvantages, but fail to notice the huge potential benefits that Zhou brought back this high-dimensional Protoss. 810 inches. This potential huge benefit value, once it is really developed. At that time, not to mention that I am promoted to the mid-level Transcendent Master, and you were promoted to the mid-level Transcendent Master, I am afraid that he will have problems. As Alec elaborated, on Canicorn's face, the sad look dissipated. He is moody and angry, and his face is flat, but Kano Koen's contribution to this wave is so great. At this stage, it may bring certain disasters to the Corn City state. But take a long view. The two of them, or even the entire Corn City state, or even the entire Transcendent Empire of the Sun God, may benefit from this. After all, high-dimensional Protoss, not to mention the Hanhygia Transcendent Plane, even in many high-level Transcendent Planes. There are almost no examples of being caught alive. Zhou wave can be said to have directly knocked on the door of Hanhygia's history. First of all, it is just the study of the perfect life form of the upper high-dimensional Protoss. It is of great value, once the research on transcendent life has made progress or breakthrough. The transcendent forms of transcendence in the entire human world will be better adjusted and improved based on research achievements. More importantly, this is still a young, high-level high-dimensional Protoss in the development cycle. Through the study of its growth, there is a high probability that some essence of its life form can be understood. The significance of this is too great. It can be said that they couldn't believe this credit, Zhou did it. Although the Corn City state will bear the blow of the enemy at present. But take the long view. This wave is more than blood money. Immediately Kano Koen looked at Zhou. You did very well. Zhou was taken aback. I always feel that there is something in this sentence. After discussing with Alec, City Lord Keen opened the cell door and left alone. In order to solve the immediate troubles and enjoy the benefits brought by this high-dimensional Protoss in the future, there are many things that need to be prepared as soon as possible. Feeling the slightly heavy steps of the City Lord Koen, Zhou calmed down a little, and then spoke. If I killed her directly there, maybe there would be no such things. If you do that, you're in real trouble. Alex smiled. And now, you've brought her back and, in a way, brought us back a trump card. Don't underestimate the great value of this high-dimensional Protoss. This is the key point that will bring great changes to our Sun God Empire. Especially in transcendent life research. You have to know that even those high-level transcendent battlefields have never caught such a young and early-stage high-dimensional Protoss. The only problem is that our Corn City state is too weak. It is in danger of being destroyed. Although Zhou had guessed before, it was not easy to capture such a high-dimensional Protoss. But the situation in front of him was obviously more serious than he expected. And once it is past, the huge benefits will have a far-reaching impact. That's right, Zhou suddenly remembered something. While underground, I met a man. He asked me to bring you something. Oh, who? What words? He said that sooner or later, he will step on the colorful clouds and come to fetch your dog's head. The steam wizard. Alec frowned. His name is Griu. It sounds like you guys have made friends. Don't worry, when he comes to kill you, I won't do anything, help him. Alec smiled disdainfully. During this time, he personally taught Zhou. I don't know if it was stimulated by Zhou's incomprehensible and terrifying progress, or if it was some other reason. He vaguely felt that he was about to break through. Progress 0% and progress 100% are just one step away. You don't seem too worried. Zhou looked at Alec. Compared to the basket you poked, the matter of the steam wizard is not worth mentioning at all. And, I have more enemies than you can imagine. You're just not ticklish when you have too many lice. Zhou complained silently. Bring it. At this time, Alec stretched out his palm and placed it in front of Zhou. What? Don't play dumb. Her transcendent bracelet. A high-level high-dimensional Protoss like her has nothing on her body, not even her steam sequence fragments, although I don't know how you did it. But those scattered things, I won't bother with you. Quote. But you have to take out her transcendent bracelet. You have made such a big mess, you don't want to take advantage of it yourself, leave the blame to us. After thinking for a while, Zhou took out the transcendent bracelet of the high-dimensional Protoss. This is a special transcendent bracelet made by their high-dimensional Protoss. That Griu said that it needs to be obtained from the Transcendent Research Institute of the Sun God before it can be cracked. Can you crack it? Alex smiled after taking the Transcendent bracelet for a look. Is this a technology problem? Obviously not. Zhou Yu frowned slightly, and vaguely guessed Alex's method. After all, he thought so before. What a shameless fellow. Afterwards, Zhou Yu walked towards the outside of the dungeon. After Zhou Yu left, Alec, holding the Transcendent bracelet, looked at the high-dimensional Protoss. I'd rather die than open this Transcendent bracelet, Elena said coldly. Alex smiled in no hurry, but sat down in the lotus position in front of Elena. First, I want to tell you a story. It's about a genius in the temple of our sun god Transcendent. Unfortunately, that genius, like you, fell into the hands of your high-dimensional Protoss. Alex's tone was calm, and he elaborated in detail, as if talking about a very ordinary thing. 10 minutes later, Alec, holding the Transcendent bracelet, opened the cell door and walked out. It's done. He looked at the Transcendent bracelet, then at Alec. How did you do it? I didn't hear any screams. Zhou Yu was a little curious. What are you thinking? I just explained to him what the high-dimensional Protoss did to us, and promised that if she would open the Transcendent bracelet, I would not do those things to her again. Zhou Yu's mind was concentrated. Zhou Yu also knew what the high-dimensional Protoss did to the human race. The cruel, bloody, and dark humanity in it is not enough for outsiders to tell. And this kind of thing, to this day, on the Transcendent battlefield, it happens every day. Call. Zhou Yu let out a sigh of relief in his chest. The pressure brought to him by this high-dimensional Protoss alone is enormous. And this is just the intermediate Transcendent world battlefield of the high-dimensional Protoss. It is said that it is on the high-level battlefield. Even the main plane battlefield. There are god-level powerhouses fighting there. Regardless of which race in which battlefield area. There are very few who can resist the attack of the high-dimensional Protoss. In the words of Zhou Yu, that is a large group of prostitute players, wearing ordinary whiteboard equipment. Fight against a group of super kryptonites wearing enhanced +15. What a desperate war, Zhou Yu thought to himself. The desire to become stronger became stronger and stronger. There are a lot of things here, most of them are resources, but there are still a lot of good things. What do you need? When Zhou Yu heard this, he immediately became interested. Is there any treasure to improve the Transcendent talent class? Have. Then give me some. Are you so unconfident about your Transcendent talent? Alec asked curiously. Of course I have my reasons for doing so, Zhou Yu said. Speaking unintentionally, the listener intends. Alec's expression moved slightly. Some understood what Zhou Yu meant. Is there any talent scroll for awakening Transcendent talent, or Transcendent talent? Zhou Yu asked again. There is nothing about awakening Transcendent talent. After all, this kind of thing is basically useless to the high-dimensional Protoss. There are some treasures promoted by Transcendent talent. At the same time, there is also an S-rank talent scroll. S-rank talent scroll. Zhou Yu's expression was greatly moved. There is no doubt about the power of S-level talent. Just Zhou Yu's previous E-level, C-level Transcendent talent, has already created a heaven-defying freak like himself. If you take an S-level talent scroll, obtained an S-level talent, there is no doubt that I will usher in a huge transformation from the foundation. This should be the rebel empire of the Chenling clan. They gave the high-dimensional god clan a gift. The high-dimensional Protoss can't use it, so it's cheaper for you now. In Alec's opinion, Zhou Yu's talent is amazing. But having more talent is obviously better. After all, no one would refuse to own an S-rank Transcendent talent. Even an SSS-level genius would not refuse such a temptation. During the conversation, Alec had already given Zhou Yu the things Zhou Yu needed. That's all. You don't want to take anything else. We still need the resources in here. Come, let us get more help. Alex said so. Do you need energy crystals? Zhou Yu asked at this time. Oh, how many do you have? So many for one hill. Hiss, have you looted the treasury of their Transcendent Empire? It's the resource reserves in the high-dimensional alien steam space. Zhou Yu said helplessly. I can take half out. But I have one condition. What conditions? I need a Transcendent talent of attack growth type, at least A level. You need to find it for me. Alec frowned slightly, considering Zhou Yu's proposal. That small mountain is worth at least 500 million yuan, Zhou Yu said in a persuasive manner. Take out half of it, that's 200 million Empress Lu. With this value, it won't be a big problem to get an S-level talent. Wangs. I'm just an A-level attack growth talent, and it's basically a free gift. No problem. After thinking about it in a blink of an eye, Alec agreed. I didn't expect you to be so generous. Looking at Zhou Yu, Alec said a rare word of praise. After all, I was the one who poked it out. Zhou Yu spread his hands. It's a good thing you have a sense of responsibility. Okay, I'm going to get busy. During this time, you should practice hard. War is coming soon. Yeah, Zhou Yu nodded cautiously. Level a attack talent, hurry up. Zhou Yu added again. I know, for Zhou Yu, his current attack power is still relatively weak. If you get the A-level attack growth talent, it will be completely different. Under 1,000-fold increase. At that time, what level will own attack power grow to? Zhou Yu himself couldn't imagine it. But, right now, Zhou Yu felt the many Transcendent talent promotion scrolls he just got from Alec, as well as the rare S-rank talent scroll. Using these treasures, Zhou Yu can not only improve his own talent. Own 2 Transcendent talent, can also be promoted. And that S-level talent. Feather, a new era. Open black lens bracket Transcendent talent close black lens bracket. 1000 times precise strike. Accurate plus 5000%. Quality. Grade E. Description. Your attack will hit the enemy more accurately and increase the slight damage. 1000 times the grasp of immortality. Quality. Grade C. Description. Every time you kill an enemy, you will get a lot of life limit increase, physical defense increase, and soul defense increase. Currently Zhou Yu relies on these 2 Transcendent talents. This is how powerful and incomparably talented aptitude is shown. At this time, Zhou Yu had 3 Transcendent talent promotion scrolls in his hand, all of which were golden scrolls. Zhou Yu reckoned that this kind of golden scroll could raise a C-level talent to B level, which is close to A level. But the grasp of the undying talent. There is not much room for improvement. The main reason is that Zhou can stack effects through quantity. Now, Zhou Yu has to kill 500 or 600 creatures, which can stack the absorbing effect for a full day. After the promotion, maybe only 100 or 200 are needed. But the overall significance is not great. But if you switch to the talent of precision, it will be different. The higher the accuracy, Zhou Yu's hit rate is also higher. A fight before, whether it is the release of various Transcendent skills or blows. Still in the back, Zhou Yu manifested a steam spirit body, and it would be good to have a savage collision. High precision has brought Zhou Yu a great error tolerance rate. As long as it's not such an outrageous operation. Zhou Yu can give the most complete blow to the enemy, and will not avoid it because of the enemy's dodge. 790. At the same time, this high precision and the accompanying terrifying damage multiplier are one of the core strengths. Think about it. Facing the precision strike, this talent, Zhou Yu started to use the first scroll. Golden light shrouded the talent ball. Zhou Yu can also feel the precise strike of his own E-level talent, which is rapidly advancing. After a while, the upgrade is completed. Precise strike. Accurate plus 18,000%. The improvement is huge. Looking at this brand new value, Zhou Yu smiled. It has been directly increased from the previous 5% to 18%. Then Zhou Yu used the remaining 2 golden scrolls one after another. Accurate strikes on talent are completely different from before. 1000 times precise strike. Accurate plus 41,000%. Quality. Grade B. Description. Your attack will hit the enemy with great precision, and increase the huge devastating damage. 1000 times B-level precision strike, an increase in numerical value. The first is the issue of precision. This point, combined with some methods developed by Zhou Yu later, will become more and more obvious. And the 41,000% accuracy will bring an additional 136 times extra damage to Zhou Yu. Under a single strike, 100 times critical strike. This is the effect brought to Zhou Yu by a 1000-fold precision strike nowadays. If you had this 136 times the critical damage. When you face that high-dimensional alien race, you won't have to fight so hard. It was only 16 times the critical strike damage before, which already made me comparable to a master of the same level of high-dimensional invaders. And now, the damage factor has skyrocketed to 136 times. It shouldn't be too difficult for a low-level Transcendent to kill a mid-level high-dimensional invader. Quote. Zhou Yu's eyes narrowed slightly. In my Steam Knight sequence, the attack method tends to be single. It's more about damage that tends to be physical Transcendent. It would be nice if it had special damage. While thinking about it, Zhou Yu looked at the level 5 Transcendent talent scroll. This B-level precision talent alone has made Zhou Yu's overall strength explode. It is conceivable how much benefit this S-level talent will bring to Zhou Yu. Take a deep breath. Zhou Yu slowly opened the S-rank talent scroll. Buzz. As if the night had fallen, the space where Zhou Yu lived began to glow strangely to Lu Li. The world is like a mirror. Pieces of fragments. Beneath this fragmented surface are layers, phases. With a thought, Zhou Yu disappeared from where he was. Here it is. Zhou Yu looked at the world around him with great interest. But I found that I have completely different transcendent characteristics in this phase domain. Zhou Yu is like a practitioner, a passerby who is independent of this phase domain. Time flies, slipping through the gap between Zhou Yu's palms. Zhou Yu flipped his hands. Wrong space distance. This moment was corrected by Zhou Yu. And Zhou Yu already knew about the transcendent talent he had obtained. The Transcendent Empire, the rebel army, is really willing to go down to its roots. Just this one S-rank talent, the value is terrifyingly high. It's a pity that the high-dimensional Protoss still doesn't like it. It's cheaper for me now. While thinking about it, Zhou Yu felt that someone was watching him in this aspect layer. Zhou Yu looked over. What came into my eyes was the giant eyes like towering mountains staring at Zhou Yu. My lord. Zhou Yu immediately stood up and saluted. Do you have the ability to enter the spirit world? Is this the spirit world? Yeah, giant eyes responded. I got the talent of phase practitioner. Oh, the voice of the city lord Korn was a little drawn out. Although he was a little puzzled, even a talent who has obtained the phase practitioner, it is difficult to enter the spirit world without sufficient cultivation. But Zhou Yu is special, he didn't see it just once or twice. A phase practitioner, with a history of phase walking. This is a very rare transcendent talent. As long as you practice well and control your ability, it is generally difficult to limit you. Also, the aspect practitioner is born with the ability to correct. This is also a good ability for you. Make good use of this talent. Yes, Lord City Lord, just chatted. With a single thought, Zhou Yu exited the phase domain. To other transcendents, that layer is the spirit world, to Zhou Yu. There is a layer of the phase domain, but it is a relatively special layer. Reappeared in the secret room of own practice. Zhou Yu clicked on the own transcendent talent light sphere. Open black lens bracket 1000 times phase practitioner close black lens bracket. Quality. S grade. Description. You have the ability to walk freely and travel through the phase space, and get phase corrections at the controller level. Zhou Yu stared at 1000 times phase practitioner talent at this strange level, his eyes narrowed. Phase practitioner. It sounds more like a special talent like a plane wizard or a plane traveler. Phase practitioners, indeed, have such abilities. It is possible to walk extremely long distances in a short period of time. At the same time, it can be in the phase domain, so as not to get lost. Generally speaking, the ability of phase practitioners pays more attention to breaking free from shackles and getting rid of imprisonment, rather than walking long distances. It can be said that there is a certain difference from the plane wizard and the plane traveler. However, after this talent increased by 1000 times, I'm afraid that Zhou Yu's ability to walk over a long distance is probably more exaggerated than that of a planar wizard or a planar traveler. With this talent ability, Zhou Yu's mobility has been greatly improved. And after this talent is acquired, another aspect of the transcendent feature is brought, phase correction. For me, it is possible that the phase correction attached to the talent may be more effective than the phase practitioner itself. After all, from this moment on, I am no longer a melee, but a range. Feel the phase correction, and later the long-armed attack feature. Zhou Yu couldn't help laughing. 1000 yards of Galen. Wrong. This is the 10,000-yard Galen. At the beginning, a 1000-fold increased talent was obtained. Accurate talent has been improved by 1,000 times. The first thing Zhou Yu thought of was the powerful remote output transcendent sequence. There is no doubt that the remote output method is easier to display precise characteristics. Whether it is the real damage that is born with long range, or the additional type of transcendent damage, or special damage, and the means of long-distance attack, both make Zhou Yu's precise talent more suitable for ranged, rather than melee. But Zhou Yu finally chose survivability, more powerful melee. The reason is, in this transcendent world, Zhou Yu, who has 1,000-fold increase, can completely master the means of long-distance output. At this time, the phase correction attached to the phase practitioner. It was such a transcendent talent that allowed Zhou Yu to have a super long-range attack method under the talent increase of 1,000 times. Phase correction. You can shorten the distance of the attacked target through the phase ability of the phase practitioner. Shorten the attack distance between the two, that is, enlarge the output length of own. And under the increase of 1,000 times talent, this attack distance has been extremely increased. As for how far, this obviously requires some experimentation. Let's go to the wilderness for a try. By the way, also try my phase practitioner's talent, how good your feet are. After leaving a phase coordinate, take a step. Zhou Yu wanted to go directly to the outside of Corn City State through the spirit world. However, the next moment, pong, Zhou Yu bumped into an invisible wall of the spiritual world. Is this the spiritual barrier of the Corn City State? It's a bit difficult for me to get through the phase practitioner's talent. After all, it's the spiritual barrier built by the city-state of Corn. Practice for a while, maybe you can travel through it without making a sound. Do you want to go out? At this time, the voice of City Lord Corn sounded again. Well, I want to go out and try my phase practitioner talent. Zhou Yu explained in this way. Then you have to be careful and don't go too far. Although, aspect talent can keep you from getting lost in spiritual thoughts. But the strange nature of the transcendent world is very dangerous. Even a transcendent master, walking in the spirit world, would not dare to say rampage. Around our Corn City State, there are not many places with a high degree of danger. But it's still more dangerous for you, so be careful. Yes, Lord City Lord, think about it, Lord Keen City, and open a hole in the spiritual world barrier of Keen City. Zhou Yu stepped into it and disappeared. Looking at Zhou Yu's disappearing figure in a flash, Canicorn frowned slightly. Immediately, Kano Cohen, who was discussing matters with Alec in the City Lord's mansion, raised his head and asked Alec. What level of talent did you give Zhou Yu? Alec looked up. S-class phase practitioner. Why is there a problem? There's a big problem, Kano Cohen said with a frown. What's wrong? This is obviously not what the talent of the S-level phase practitioner can bring. His span is amazing. How amazing? At least 50 times more than that of phase practitioner beginners. I thought you had gotten used to his strangeness, Alex said indifferently. He has always noticed Zhou Yu's strangeness. After all, when you were at level 30, do you dare to fight against the high-dimensional Protoss who are wearing the 9th level Angel Steam Source armor, holding the 7th level lightsaber, and whose level is close to the 5th level? If I did that, there wouldn't be the City Lord of the city-state of Kern now. Kano Kern shook his head. That's right, Alex smiled. This kid's peculiarity is beyond our ability to ponder. The most troublesome thing right now is the sneak attack of the Galway Protoss on our Corn City State. That Elena, with a very unusual identity, is the illegitimate daughter of a big man. Originally, he and his half-brother went to the plane of Alantu to play, but it fell into the hands of Zhou Yu. Just now, I have been informed by an eyeliner that someone is already inquiring about the location of the passage to the center of the Black Flame Canyon. Obviously, the other side already knows the situation. We have to prepare quickly, war will come at any time. What's going on in the Saint Totem King City? Alec asked as he spoke. Manpower has already been dispatched over there, Kano Cohen said in a deep voice. Where is the Temple of the Sun? Kano Cohen asked this time. Those old guys over there, although they are old-fashioned and do not know how to adapt, but when they learn that we have captured a high-ranking high-dimensional Protoss and their status is not ordinary. It is very rare to simplify the support approval procedures. They're already on their way. This time, although it is a crisis, it may not be an opportunity for our Corn City State. The Corn City State used as a bait, once it successfully eliminates or even captures some of the transcendent masters of the high-dimensional Protoss. Perhaps, the further development of our Corn City State. You and I also have the opportunity to go to the next level. So it seems that the two of us are in Jolie's favor. Alec joked. If possible, I would rather not touch this light. If it fails, the price we pay will be very heavy. At least Zhou Yu still knows the severity of the relief, and is willing to take out so many energy spars. At that time, I will be in charge, plus the barrier opened by the massive energy spar. Maybe it can protect the safety of the Corn City State. Corn City State, South Side, Wraith Swamp. A wandering wraith suffered a heavy blow in an instant, suddenly, and then collapsed directly to death. And the wraiths around seemed to feel the fluctuations of the death breath here. They came wandering around one after another. But I found that there are no enemies here at all. No enemies. But there is death. What's happening here? Life is too boring, autistic enough to explode. It shouldn't be. Wraithling's not so high spiritual intelligence obviously couldn't comprehend the scene in front of him. 1800 *. Zhou Yu gave this value precisely. The range of 1800 meters is the limit of my attack distance. Quote. Actually, within a range of 1200 meters, my damage has already begun to decay. It's only about 100 times. This is the energy attenuation caused by the ultra-long distance. At 1500 meters, it's almost 50 times the damage. 0. At 1800 meters, that's my normal attack damage. 1000 meters, I can perfectly display my 13 times damage. 1000-meter attack distance. A smile was outlined on the corner of Zhou Yu's mouth. And I'm only level 30. As my strength improves, the talent of the phase practitioner will also grow accordingly. At that time, the attack distance of 10,000 meters will not be a problem. And this attack of mine has no ballistic trajectory, the shot is a hit. Add to that my horrific 41,000% accuracy. At a distance of 1,000 meters, if you hit your left eye, you will definitely not hit your right eye. Accurate talent, combined with phase correction, is a perfect match. And you don't have to worry too much about daily brushing attributes in the future. With the ability of a phase practitioner, I can easily go to the wilderness to hunt and kill those wandering strange creatures in the wilderness. It is also possible to enter the spirit world and hunt and kill those weak spirit world creatures. After all, there are many ordinary spirit world creatures living in the territory. Now, I finally have the transcendent ability with strange characteristics. Then, the next thing to do is. Zhou Yu narrowed his eyes slightly. Persist in continuous penance, transcendent level, transcendent skill level, own fighting skills, and the ability of phase practitioner. These things require continuous practice to become stronger. Before, when we were on the spaceship, those transcendent geniuses of level 40, 50, 50 and 60 were all talking about entering the transcendent battlefield in winter. Perhaps, I can also reach this level in the winter season. Then, maybe I will also enter the transcendent battlefield. While hunting those resentful souls with low spiritual intelligence, I was thinking about it. 4 in the morning, after some tenderness with senior sister Diana. Zhou Yu got up, went to the base square, and started own practice. These days, Alex seems to be busy with the affairs of the high-dimensional Protoss. But Zhou Yu didn't have anything to do with the high-dimensional Protoss, so he delayed his own cultivation. Zhou Yu also knew, the high-dimensional Protoss will really come to kill them. As far as his current strength is concerned, that is proper cannon fodder. Not even qualified to participate in combat. Therefore, what Zhou Yu has to do now is to practice. To practice again. Wielding the Blood Gang heavy-edged sword. With every blow, there is a solid blood-colored sword glow, blooming on the Blood Gang heavy-edged sword. With Zhou Yu's level raised to level 30. In the hands of Zhou Yu, the Blood Gang sword also began to exert its power as a third-order transcendent weapon. During training, Zhou Yu also looked at own steam spirit body. At this time, Zhou Yu's steam spirit body seems to have a cyberpunk feeling of September 13th. The first is the steam furnace. This is where Zhou Yu's core improvement is. The larger the furnace, the more energy it can provide. The combustion efficiency is also higher. Now, Zhou Yu's steam furnace is twice as big as before. At the same time, the extra parts of the steam spirit body were scattered and adsorbed on Zhou Yu's steam spirit body. Because these scattered steam parts are too large, it makes Zhou Yu's steam spirit body look more like a random cyber steam engine. The steam sequence of the high-dimensional Protoss is 5-star, and Zhou Yu's steam sequence is nothing more than a 2-star. This is a real snake swallow. Fortunately, Zhou Yu's steam spirit body has a high degree of frankness, and it is easy to escape. And Elena's steam spirit body has long been broken into a pair of parts. Only in this way can the operation of swallowing the strong with the weak be realized. Zhou Yu reckoned that if he devoured all of Elena's steam spirit body, his own steam sequence would be at least a 3rd-tier star top level, and even be promoted to a 4-star level. After all, this is a 5-star top steam spirit body. Wait until fully absorbed. At that time, Zhou Yu's steam spirit body will present a perfect steam spirit body form. It's not like it is now, like a bunch of parts put together. In addition to the growth of the steam spirit body, in a steam furnace, and the Transcendent Master's beautiful bone that Zhou Yu brought over earlier. At this time, Zhou Yu's flame in the center of the earth was burning this transcendent bone. And it was Zhou Yu's Sun Flame Cloak that absorbed this transcendent charm. Sun Flame Cloak is equivalent to Zhou Yu's own elemental equipment. And Transcendent is very attractive. After combining the two, Zhou Yu can make the Sun Flame Cloak have a brand new special effect. That is, full hatred. After all, it is the other charm of the Transcendent Master. Plus the blessing of Zhou Yu's steam sequence. When the time comes, the Rian Cloak will come out. Those enemies who lack the ability to control the soul will. They will all rush forward like moths. And Zhou Yu who has the Sun Flame Cloak with a damage increase of hundreds of times. It can easily destroy those attracted enemies. It can be called a humanoid battlefield harvester. After all, on the Transcendent battlefield, in many cases, it is a large-scale battle. Take advantage of this Transcendent Master's other aggro pull features. Zhou Yu can easily interrupt the opponent's large-scale formation. Moreover, he rushed into the local camp and made a fuss. It's also totally doable. After all, Zhou Yu's path to Transcendent is completely different from that of normal people. During Zhou Yu's practice, unknowingly, the sky gradually brightened. At this time, Zhao Moshan came over. Your Highness Zhou Yu, we have just received the latest order, and you have important tasks to perform. Mission. Zhou Yu frowned. Yes. The front line is urgent. You need to go to the battlefield. Here is your call to war. War is coming. Zhou Yu's expression flickered. Although Zhou Yu knew that this day would come. But I didn't expect that this day would come so quickly and so quickly. Early morning. At this time in the past, it was still the genius base of the Koan city-state, and many geniuses were still dreaming. And today, they were all woken up, and was informed of the call to war. Many geniuses and elites who were informed of the call to war were a little confused at the first moment. Then they quickly realized, war is coming. Korn city-state, genius training base, steam hall. At this time, the place is already full of voices. The front line is urgent, is it true? I heard it was true. 2 days ago, I read on the Transcendent Daily that a garrison line in Shungtatem King City was captured, and tens of thousands of Transcendent soldiers were besieged and slaughtered. Tens of thousands of Transcendent soldiers were mobbed and slaughtered, and it was a disastrous defeat. It's more than just a disastrous defeat. Maybe the defense line of the Saint Totem King City will be unable to defend against it. If the defense line of the Saint Totem King City can't be defended, then, wouldn't our area be reduced to a battlefield? Because of this, the war order this time came so urgently. It was originally planned to enter the winter. Now, it's only the middle of autumn, and it's about to pass. Furthermore, it's not just those transcendents of 40 or 50 levels that have to pass, we transcendents of more than 20 and 30 levels also need to be trained as reserve soldiers. What can those of us with more than 20 levels of the past do? What else can you do? At critical moments, it's good to be cannon fodder. Can you stop saying that? I wasn't panicking at first, but when you said that, I panicked instead. More than 20 levels, it is already considered good. It is said that some of the ranks have also been recruited. 10 levels have also been recruited. This is too messy. There is no way. This is the call-up order from above. Must be done. In the crowd, Diana snuggled up beside Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu, is what they said true? Is war really coming? Diana couldn't believe that all this was actually true. She has not yet reached the 20th level, and she has received a call to war. After all, in the past, at least level 30 was within the scope of the call to war order. War, has indeed come. Zhou Yu said softly as he comforted Diana. Unusual, very abnormal. It is understandable to go to the battlefield of more than 20 levels. These 10-level transcendents, if they go to the battlefield, it would be complete nonsense. However, Zhou Yu, who knew the root cause of all this, was not surprised. The Saint Totem King City suffered heavy losses, which is probably a normal phenomenon. After all, there hasn't been any good news from the Transcendent battlefield over the Saint Totem King City for so many years. The best news to come back is nothing more than, successfully resisted the enemy's offensive advance. This is how miserable it was to be able to resist the enemy's attack is good news. The defeat of the Saint Totem King City, in the Steam Battle Report, everyone has long been accustomed to it. But this time, the Corn City State has let nearly 1,000 of the Corn City State talent good personnel start with 10 levels. All of them were included in the call to war order. In addition to the certain reasons on the side of the Saint Totem King City. The more important reason is probably that the Corn City State is about to bear the attack from the high-dimensional Protoss. As for the bait, the Corn City State does not know whether it can withstand the attack. But in order to save power, all personnel with talent and not qualified to participate in the war. Evacuate all. In case of defeat, I'm afraid the entire Corn City State will be reduced to ruins. Among the crowd, Zhou Yu clenched his fists. First, Zhou Yu faced the high-dimensional Protoss. I felt tremendous pressure. And it is difficult for him to resist. The pressure is as majestic as a mountain. Call. Zhou Yu breathed a sigh of relief, trying to soothe his heart as much as possible. Everyone, be quiet. In a noisy hall, a voice full of deterrence and chilling air came to the face. In just 3 seconds, the entire hall became silent. All students who have received the call to war order, you have 3 hours to prepare. Bring groceries, clothing, equipment, etc. There is no need to carry more food and water, these things will be included in the war supplies. After getting ready, arrive at the Corn City State Airship Field, and then take the airship to the Saint Totem King City. The barracks over there are ready to receive them. From now on, you are no longer students, no longer ordinary residents. It's the Transcendent Warriors of our Sun God Transcendent Empire. Your only task is to arrive at the battlefield, stop the enemies who invade our Hanhygia Transcendent Plane, and fight for our homeland. Anyone who disobeys the military order will be sent directly to a military court. Act now. 05, the voice of Killing Iron and Blood, made everyone feel anxious. With that sound down, everyone in the hall quickly moved into action. Hurry up and go back and pack your things, Zhou Yu said, rubbing Diana's long hair. Diana nodded quickly, and then blended into the crowd leaving the hall. Just when Zhou Yu was about to go to his own residence to pack his things. Zhou Yu, enter the spirit world. Alex's voice sounded in Zhou Yu's ear. With a thought, Zhou Yu directly entered the spirit world. At this time, Alex stood aside. Mr. Alec, Zhou Yu saluted. Do you feel that the call to war this time is very urgent? Alec glanced at Zhou Yu, and then at the sky far away in the spirit world. There are large swaths of clouds falling like catkins. Yes, Zhou Yu nodded. Real mobilization, and that's the way it is sometimes, you never know what's going to happen in the next moment. When you were leaning together, grilling meat and drinking wine, the next moment the battle will break out. Originally, we planned to notify today and let many geniuses set off early tomorrow morning. However, the high-dimensional Protoss moved faster than we thought, and a group of people have already crossed the civic barrier. Today at noon, afternoon, or night, the Corn City State may break out at any time. It's hard to say if the Corn City State can't be defended, but if you are here, you will definitely be killed. Plus, the urging from Saint Totem King City is quite urgent. So, in the early hours of last night, we had already drawn up a strategy for all talents above sea level to join the battle. What about the ordinary residents? Zhou Yu asked. Some of the ordinary residents will go underground, and some have been dispatched to the surrounding manors a few days ago. Probably about half of the people have been evacuated. It's a best effort. This is war, and it's impossible to save everyone. And, at this point, Alex smiled lightly. We may not be defeated. After all, we have also made sufficient preparations here, and the Sun Sacred Palace has also given sufficient support. If you win, it will be a rare big victory in the past 10 years. After all, this is their initiative to come in. We have home field advantage. Moreover, this advantage was also established because of you. Maybe many people will die, but this is war. You have to understand this to make yourself stronger. Do you understand? Yeah, Zhou Yu nodded cautiously. This is the resource I found for you. As he spoke, Alec threw a transcendent ring over. There's a great growth aggressive talent inside. There are also some transcendent treasures that improve the talent's aptitude. Whether you win or lose this war, you probably won't return to the Corn City State for a long time to come. The battlefield of Saint Totem King City. That's where you can display your strength and talent. Remember, you are the most dazzling genius in the history of our Corn City State. On the Transcendent battlefield, don't lose face to us Corn City State. Rubbing the Transcendent ring that Alec threw over. Don't worry, Master Alec, you will be able to hear my name soon on the battlefield. Haha, Alec smiled. I'm really looking forward to your performance. Go, let those high-dimensional invaders feel the horror of our Corn City State genius. The steam airship made a low roar. Inside the airship, Zhou Yu sat near the window. As the airship soared, the Corn City State below rapidly became smaller. Inside the airship, many people were silent. After all, the war came too fast. Many people hurriedly packed up and boarded the airship, but they still haven't recovered. Many people even boarded the airship and waited until the airship took off. Then it suddenly occurred to me that some things were not brought. It's a pity that the airship obviously won't land at this time, giving them a chance to go back and get things. And this goes. It can be as short as a year and a half, and as long as 3 to 5 years, and some people will even bury their bones in the battlefield. Until the Corn City State below, buried in the clouds outside the field of vision. Zhou Yu rubbed his eyebrows. The roaring steam of the steam airship could be heard next to my ears, and there were also strange noises of crackling, cracking, from time to time. It seems that there is something wrong with the engine of the steam airship. It shouldn't fall. Zhou Yu thought about it one after another. At this time, Zhou Yu's 6-person seat was crowded with 10 people. This time there were too many people. The steam airships are all overloaded. Zhou Yu originally wanted to sit on the same airship as Senior Diana. As a result, because there were too many people, Zhou Yu, who was near the landing hatch of an airship, was squeezed up abruptly. Zhou Yu originally wanted to walk out of the spirit world. Even after thinking about it, 3 airships have already taken off. Maybe Senior Sister Diana has already boarded other airships. A few Corn City State students whom Zhou Yu didn't know that Zhou Yu huddled with Zhou Yu glanced at Zhou Yu from time to time. Zhou Yu, Corn City State, a hidden A-level genius. And the rumored gossip said that this week's 830 pigeons are very likely to be A-class, or even S-class geniuses. After all, they had heard about Zhou Yu's deeds a long time ago. The growth rate is much faster than that of A-level genius Ian. Moreover, the strength is much stronger than Ian. Originally, they thought that such a genius should have a VIP seat. Unexpectedly, he was squeezed into the cabin with them. Corn City State is far away from Saint Totem King City. It will take almost 2 days and 1 night, and more than 30 hours of continuous sailing to arrive. As for the Saint Totem King City, Zhou Yu's eyes narrowed slightly. It's a real battlefront. Zhou Yu closed her eyes and meditated. I don't know how many hours passed. At this time, the roar of another steam airship came to my ears. Has the steam airship behind caught up? Or are we overtaking the steamship ahead? Open your eyes and borrow the abilities of a phase practitioner. Zhou Yu saw a battleship airship with mottled scars flying towards him. That's the airship of the Saint Totem King City. Did you come here as an escort? Zhou Yu's heart moved slightly. Not long. A young man wearing a black shadow cloak, nimbly like a fish, passed through the crowd and came near Zhou Yu's seat. The young man in the shadow cloak looked straight at Zhou Yu, saluted, and said in a calm tone. Hello, Your Excellency Zhou Yu, I am Anlu Sen, and I am the war liaison of the Saint Totem King City. In view of the high-level communication between the Corn City State and our Saint Totem King City, please come here, we have some things to discuss with you. Zhou Yu thought for a while, then nodded slightly. Even if the other party is from Saint Totem King City, Zhou Yu still maintained a certain degree of vigilance. Saint Totem King City. It is a powerful display of the combined power of hundreds of city-states nearby. At the same time, it is also the most prosperous and lively area among the hundreds of city-states nearby. The resident population alone exceeds 8 million. And the number of Transcendent legions exceeded 1.2 million. Logically speaking, as the front line of the war, the Saint Totem King City should not be so prosperous. But just the opposite, the Saint Totem King City prospered because of the war. But under the appearance of prosperity, undercurrents are raging. The population is large and the caravans come and go frequently. Thousands of people die every year. This allowed those believers of evil gods, as well as evil spirits, to mix in the Holy Totem King City. According to Zhou Yu, there are Mother Tree of Desire, spread by the daughter of the evil god, Raven Blood Spirit established by the Master of Evil Spirits, and Ancient War Church, the gathering place for fanatical believers in war. In the city, troubles continue to arise. In the past few years, there have been several incidents in which the high-level officials of the Saint Totem King City were instigated by the Evil God organization. Every time, the special commissioner of the Sun God Empire came, blood flowed like a river. But every time, those Evil God organizations would revive. As long as the war goes on, those Evil God organizations and Evil Spirit organizations will always pay attention to the people in this field. Zhou Yu doesn't know whether her own name is already on the list of those organizations. Zhou Yu didn't know who it was that came to greet the owner. In short, be careful, you were right after all. Inside the spacious and slightly luxurious airship cabin, it is in stark contrast with the mottled traces of war outside. Zhou Yu almost thought that he had arrived at the living room of some important person. Maybe, this is the living room of a certain adult. What would you like to drink? Andrew Sen asked politely. Thanks, no need. Zhou Yu declined. May I ask, which officer wants to summon me? Zhou Yu asked while thinking. The Evil God organization in Saint Totem King City most wants to eliminate, but has never been able to eliminate, the Commander-in-Chief of the Night Exorcism Guard, Ms. Tina. A snappy voice sounded behind Zhou Yu, and the visitor reported himself. Zhou Yu turned around and looked. What catches the eye is a lady with short hair adorned with stars in a black robe that accentuates her graceful figure. Those eyes were very calm. Zhou Yu could only think of the deep starry sky. Ms. Tina sat down directly in front of Zhou Yu. Looking directly at Zhou Yu, his capable and stern demeanor almost rushed towards his face. Taking out Zhou Yu's file, Tina glanced at it twice. Zhou Yu, the A-level genius of the Corn City State. Talent is pretty good. Having said that, Tina directly tore Zhou Yu's file into shreds, and then threw it into the trash can beside her. Zhou Yu frowned slightly at this scene. Do you think this kind of meaningless talent written on paper is useful? Tina looked directly at Zhou Yu. Whether it's useful or not, I don't know, but you tear up my files in front of me, are you polite? Zhou Yu secretly complained. It should have some effect. Otherwise why would you find me in A-level instead of randomly picking one from a stack of files and calling me over? Zhou Yu's reply made Tina startled. On the side, Andrew Sen's tense body retreated 2 steps quietly, and the corners of his eyes twitched slightly. It's not good for this guy to provoke anyone, but to provoke her. If Miss Tina goes crazy, we can only squeeze into the airship next door and fly back. The imagined anger did not come. Staring at Zhou Yu, Tina said in a steady tone. I called you here not because you are an A-level genius, but because the city lord of your Corn City State told the city lord of the Saint Totem King City that your talent is very high, to cultivate you well. And the city lord of the Saint Totem King City entrusted me with this task. To be honest, I was not very happy when I was asked to make this trip. And now, your answer makes me even more unhappy. If it wasn't because you were named and cared for by the city lord, I really want you to go all the way from below to the Saint Totem King City. After all, this is also a kind of cultivation, isn't it? Tina said threateningly. Zhou Yu's eyes lit up. It seems that running back from below is pretty good. After all, I can't practice at full capacity on the way. Flying directly on the airship, I always get lost, but it's a bit troublesome. If you insist on this, I'd be happy to run from below. Zhou Yu praised this proposal very much. This time, Andrew Sen's face changed completely. It's broken, this time I really have to squeeze the airship next door and fly back. If this guy rants a few more words, I'm afraid, the people in the airship next door will all be squeezed out of the airship. Tina, with a look of warmth and anger on her face, looked directly at Zhou Yu. As for Zhou Yu, he ran over without any hesitation. How could Zhou Yu not guess what this woman was thinking? Do you want to show yourself off? If you can say it, I can say it too. You want to show off to me in front of me and swear that your official position is greater than mine. I want to obey you. Sorry, I'm not used to you. This woman with a strange personality made Zhou Yu a little upset when Zhou Yu's file was torn up in front of Zhou Yu. I came to Saint Totem King City to fight, not to let people ride on my head and let you dominate me. More importantly, I haven't agreed to work under you yet. The atmosphere of depressive conflict permeates the entire airship. At this time, Zhou Yu was ready to fight. The whole woman in front of her is definitely a high-level transcendent. Zhou Yu didn't know the level. And once the battle starts, Zhou Yu will put on the Angel Steam Source armor as soon as possible. At that time, it is hard to say who wins and who loses. Zhou Yu might feel uncomfortable. But this woman is no better than Zhou Yu. However, the battle in Linshang did not break out. That strange woman actually suppressed her anger again, and even, the anger began to dissipate. Zhou Yu was overwhelmed by this strange woman. The atmosphere is here. Why don't you start playing? Tina picked up the ice drink in front of her and took 2 sips. You really want to fight me? Zhou Yu moved away the hand that was holding the Shuigong heavy-edged sword. That's up to you. Although I don't know, your 30th first level, what confidence do you have to fight against my 90th 9th level? But your head is so strong. Among all the people I've met, it's one of the top. Then Tina said in a calm tone. Holy Totem King City is completely different from the Steam City state you are in. The forces there are intricate. There's the military war department. There is a royal city guard department. There are businessmen with a high-level background in Wangcheng. There is also a large caravan from the Sun God Empire. And among these people, interspersed are those who hide various identities and have different thoughts. Some of them are honest businessmen. Some people secretly resell resources to make war fortune. Some are doing business with evil god organizations. There are also some who simply joined the evil god Lili's organization and betrayed their own ethnic group. In your imagination, is it the Saint Totem King City, where everyone is united to resist foreign enemies? Listening to Tina's words, Zhou Yu was a little surprised. Among the above-mentioned information, there are indeed some things that he did not expect. This situation is indeed a bit complicated. But in fact, in the Saint Totem King City, the above situation is completely confused. All parties are arguing, shifting responsibility, fighting openly and secretly, and many people died at their own hands. Our Exorcist Guard is an organization that eliminates all members of the Evil God organization, as well as those who are engaged in transactions with the Evil God organization. I need a strong one, in other words, I need someone with a strong head to buy. Even if the other party is a member of the War Department, as long as we have evidence, you still dare to rush to the War Department's camp, and even kill him in front of all these people. Even if, afterwards, you may be complained by the War Department, resulting in you being imprisoned. Even if you know that you will offend the big shots in Wang City and Sun God King City. It still needs a bloody shot, and it's the kind that doesn't show mercy. You dare. Tina's words moved Zhou Yu's heart. This kind of crazy style, I am even afraid of myself. Sounds exciting. It's like the privilege of the East Factory, the kind that kills first and plays later. Seeing Zhou Yu thinking, Tina explained lightly. In our line of work, you have to be a bit more eccentric, more ruthless, and more ruthless. Otherwise, there will always be all kinds of scruples. If you are afraid and dare not do it, I will not force you. On the battlefield, you also have room to play. But sometimes, you have to know that the battlefield behind is equally important. I want the entire royal city to truly unite and fight against the enemy. Then, those believers of evil gods, members of evil spirits, and those who rely on the background of big figures to show off their power must be eliminated, even uprooted. It takes extraordinary courage, determination and will. And, don't worry, I dare not say anything else. As my subordinate, no matter what, I will protect you to the death. Even if you are sentenced to imprisonment, I will try my best to release you. It is guaranteed to let you 017 have no worries, and all you need to do is to go up there recklessly. Tina's words were all about this. Zhou Yu would be too cowardly if he didn't make a statement. Miss Tina, Zhou Yu stood up and said solemnly. Yes, I am the kind of talent you need. This time. A small smile finally appeared on Tina's exquisite face. You are welcome to join, and I also apologize for my rudeness just now. Zhou Yu shrugged his shoulders. I accept your apology, even though it's literally nothing of value. At this time, Andrew Sen on the side let out a long sigh of relief. But more questions also came to mind, making him frown. In itself, the Exorcist Guard is a place where all kinds of talents gather. Now that Zhou Yu joined the Exorcist Guard, it might be even more lively. At that time, he is afraid that he will be even busier. Busy cleaning up their mess. Do you know why I was a little unhappy when I was sent by the city lord? Tina, who was drinking an iced drink, said softly. What is the reason? Because, I originally wanted to catch a group of guys. My informant told me they were smuggling a shipment of Transcendent gear. Originally, it was the equipment that was sent to the front line, but it was resold by the people in the War Department. This will prevent frontline fighters from being replenished in time. As a result, there have been more serious casualties. Is it too late to chase now? Zhou Yu asked. Obviously too late. Tina shook her head. However, they will definitely come. And I hope. At that time, you really dare to draw out your blood gang heavy-edged sword and hit him in the face. Zhou Yu's eyes narrowed slightly. Master Tina, don't worry. When the time comes, you will definitely see this scene. That's right, don't dislike me for causing too much trouble when the time comes. Zhou Yu said. This made Tina laugh instead. I've always caused more trouble. If you can really cause big trouble, then I would be more happy to see this scene. I hope you can remember what you said today. Zhou Yu said silently in his heart. Inside the airship, inside the small warehouse. Finally, I don't have to squeeze in with them anymore. Looking at it, it wasn't that wide, but it was enough to lie comfortably in the airship Xiaokang's room. Zhou Yu stretched comfortably. Unfortunately, I didn't find Senior Diana, otherwise, this trip must be wonderful. Concentrating his mind, Zhou Yu opened the Transcendent ring on his finger. Here are the resources given by Alex Mentor, AFDB. After opening it, Zhou Yu's eyes lit up. Huo, a lot of Transcendent talent training treasures. I'm afraid it cost a lot of Transcendent coins, and I feel that it is possible to upgrade my talent to B level. Wait for my steam sequence to finish absorbing the fragments of Elena's steam spirit body, and then start absorbing these Transcendent treasures. Otherwise, if you absorb it now, some effects will be wasted. After all, my 2-star steam spirit body is fighting against the fragments of those 5-star steam spirit bodies. There is still pressure. I don't know what the AA level growth talent given by Alex Tudor is. While thinking about it, Zhou Yu had already taken out the AA level growth talent scroll, and slapped it to use it. Open black lens bracket Transcendent talent close black lens bracket. Ring of Death. Quality. AA. Description. For every 5th damage done to an enemy, 1 true destruction damage from the Ring of Dead Silence will be obtained. You can strengthen the damage of the Ring of Death by harvesting life. Stacking growth damage of the ring number type. 5 hits trigger a true damage strike from Ring of Death. And you can also increase the damage of the Ring of Death by harvesting life. To deal with those top powerhouses, I can use the super long attack distance to repeatedly hit the 5 ring damage. At the same time, this Ring of Death will also be strengthened by my precise talent. On the one hand, it is the damage increase of this Ring of Death Silence, on the other hand, it is my own super high attack damage of 100 times. This stacks up. When I am promoted to level 40, I will already have the capital to kill high-level Transcendents. When I am promoted to a high-level Transcendent, that is, when I am above the 70th level, it is possible to kill Transcendent Masters. These talent abilities of mine are under the blessing of the Phase Practitioner's Speed S class unendowed. Before I knew it, I had already begun to have the prototype of a remote steam knight. Then, Zhou Yu looked to the northwest. There is the location of Shungtatem King City. It is also the front line of war in this area. Spies, lackeys, traitors, these internal moths, compared to the enemy, damn it. When the time comes, you will know the means of the genius who came out of the Corn City state. That will be your nightmare. Start practicing. Immediately, Zhou Yu collected his mind, sat cross-legged and began to practice. Although this high-altitude environment, this thin. But now Zhou Yu's cultivation doesn't rely on the external transcendent origin anymore. After level 30, each first level upgrade consumes a lot of original power. And in Zhou Yu's steam space, whether it's those corpses, or ghost flame grass, and those energy spars, both can provide Zhou Yu with a lot of sources. Moreover, those corpses also have quite a few transcendent properties. This can make the transcendent feature of Zhou Yu's steam sequence more stable. Compared with the Corn City state, the remote place located at the junction of mountains and plains. Saint Totem King City. Obviously it's different. The first is the location. The Holy Totem King City is located at the main road on the edge of the world layer and plain. It is an important channel of the plain barrier. Beyond the barriers of the plains is the open black lens bracket transcendent battlefield close black lens bracket. Once the transcendent battlefield is defeated, the enemy's attack breaks the plain barrier fortress. The entire vast area will be reduced to a battlefield. At that time, hundreds of surrounding city-states will be reduced to ruins. The Transcendent Empire, the Sun God, will also be involved in more history by the enemies here. And, the collapse of one point is very likely to form a chain reaction. Let the defense front of the entire plain barrier be defeated in all directions. Therefore, the importance of the Holy Totem King City is self-evident. The large number of people, the important position of the fortress of the war defense line. This also makes the Saint Totem King City the most prosperous area within a radius of thousands of kilometers. In the Corn City state, the number of airships does not exceed 20. And in this Holy Totem King City, looking around, there are tens of thousands of airships in the sky. All kinds of large-scale defensive buildings, monster towers, steam forts, and steam energy towers abound. And they are all built with steel as the skeleton. The entire Wangchang is completely filled with the atmosphere of the advanced cyberpunk era. The endless stream of people on the street is densely packed. Moreover, the most striking thing is that there are many steam cars on the street. This made Zhou Yu couldn't help but take a second look. In the Corn City state, they are still at the level of carriage instead of transportation. And Saint Totem King City has already promoted the steam car, one of the crystallized products of the steam age, on a large scale. Although the steam airship has the ability to fly in the air, it is more convenient than the steam car. But it can't stand the steam car, the price is cheap. A steam airship costs at least 300,000 transcendent coins if it's cheap, or millions of transcendent coins if it's cheap. And every time it is activated, it is at least the energy supply of thousands of transcendent coins. As for the steam car, the cheap one is only 5 or 6,000 transcendent coins. What is burned as cheap coal? If you run for a day, you will only get 1 or 2 transcendent coins. Therefore, steam cars are the first choice for many middle-class families. Even those transcendents, not everyone can afford a steam airship. It's really prosperous. Looking at the densely packed airships in the Holy Totem King City, and the many landmark buildings of the Steam Age and the Devil Age, Zhou Yu couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Are we not lining up? When he saw the airship he was on, passed through many airships, and headed towards the city wall, Zhou Yu couldn't help asking. Our exorcist department, how to put it, can be regarded as the law enforcement department of Saint Totem King City, although it is not very popular. But, there are still privileges. Andrew Sen explained on the side. We can take the dedicated lane. Privilege, I like this thing. Zhou Yu frowned. When the airship is advancing along a specific channel in the city, Zhou Yu also kept looking at the entire city-state. There are large chambers of commerce. There is a food court. There is a shopping plaza. And, what's in there? Why are so many airships parked? Airship yard. Zhou Yu pointed to a huge tall building and asked. That's the gold-selling cave for nobles. Andrew Sen gave Zhou Yu a look. Inside, you can eat, drink, and have fun. As long as you are willing to spend money, you will be the emperor there. Oh, that's it. Zhou Yu groaned. Such places in the Corn City state are very obscure, and it is said that they are located in a relatively remote area of the underground city. But here, it is very fair and above board. Is it legal? Zhou Yu asked. It's not legal, but it's not illegal either. Tina on the side added. It was jointly opened by the city lord and several other great nobles. And a large part of the money earned is spent on war expenses. Although it received a lot of criticism when it was launched, as the cost of war became higher and higher, the voice of opposition disappeared. Your Majesty, the city lord is really eclectic, Zhou Yu said with emotion. My lord, only talents are used. As long as you are strong enough and your methods are sharp enough. Even if it's a capital crime, the city lord can give you an amnesty. Even, the Lord City Lord said that if anyone can be better than him as the city lord of the Saint Totem King City, he doesn't mind giving up at all. Interested, Tina looked at Zhou Yu and said with a smile. I feel like you're mocking me. It's not a feeling, this is it. Tina was not at all polite to Zhou Yu. Troubled times should use heavy codes. If you're outstanding enough, I can definitely make you go higher and higher. Even, the city lord will support you in the future. But if you act mediocre enough, then I think the cannon fodder on the front line of the battlefield is the most suitable for you. You guys are forcing me to play out of common sense. Zhou Yu complained secretly. Although I want to keep a low profile, it's obviously impossible. When trying to figure out how to behave in the future. It's here, Tina's voice sounded, along the glass windows of the airship. Zhou Yu saw his destination. Sun God Transcendent Empire Saint Totem King City Evil God Incident Handling Division. The name is so long that Zhou Yu feels a little weird. As the airship descends, a group of people have been waiting here in advance. Just stepped out of the hatch. Zhou Yu heard Tina's condensed and neat voice as always. What about Coward? Why didn't he come? Captain Coward, he led the team to deal with a group of illegal assemblies in the north. It is said that several people died. It's possible that members of an evil spirit organization are behind the scenes. A woman in a black professional suit who looked like Tina's secretary quickly responded. When Coward returns, let him come to me at once. Yes, also, Anlu Sen, open a room for Zhou Yu, let him rest, and wait for Coward to come back and hand him over. Clear, Your Excellency Zhou Yu, come with me. Tina's airship flies very fast. In less than a day, he had already arrived at the Saint Totem King City. However, the road was quite bumpy and his practice was not very stable, so Zhou Yu was really tired. 10 minutes later, when Zhou Yu, who followed Andrew Sen, came to the place, the whole person was stunned. Just here, Zhou Yu pointed at the room and said with a look of disbelief. Well, that's right here. The situation on our side is like this. Many things are in a hurry, and we need to be on call and act at any time. Andrew Sen said apologetically. I thought it was a hotel room, but who would have thought it was a prison cell? Yes, that Tina directly gave Zhou Yu a cell, and it was a single cell, the kind of mountain where she was directly packed. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.